Okay, let's move on to talk about something that's really petty.
Go on then.
That's not in any way timely, but that really bothered me, right? It really bothered me. I don't know why it bothered me. It must be because I'm a dad. It really bothered me. And also, I found myself growing very fond of David Beckham. I'm not a football guy. I didn't care about his
Never had
career.
an opinion one way or the
Well,
other.
exactly. I'd never thought about him, right?
Yeah.
But it was when he was queuing for the Queen's funeral, and he spent 13 hours in the queue with everyone else.
Oh, yes.
He's
yes.
not a Labour politician. Didn't get free tickets like Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby.
Yeah, because a lot of them skipped the line, didn't they?
Did. Well, we're important people. We've got to skip the line.
Yes.
No, David Beckham was there in his flat cap and his waterproofs, just standing in the rain like everyone else. And I was like, okay, that's really noble. I really appreciate that. And so when this came across my timeline, I was like, what? And I ended up looking into this, and it really bothered me. But before we begin, go and get the second issue of Islander. It'll only be on sale for about a week, perhaps two. I'm not entirely sure, but
2 at most.
2 at most. And when it's gone, it's gone. We will not be reprinting it, any of them, because value comes from scarcity. That's what makes the right wing great. That's what makes the left wing terrible. It's the scarcity and the boundaries and the privilege of having the thing. So this is actually a bit of an old story for David Beckham as well, because David Beckham has publicly been very affectionate to his own children. Now you might think,
Right.
why is that newsworthy?
Well, that's just normal, isn't it?
You would think so.
Right.
But there are obviously lots of people for whom this is not normal,
Okay.
and those people are wrong, right? So this is not the first time this has happened, but this happened back in June. And like I said, it's only just occurred to me. So his daughter's 12, he's 49, and he's giving her just cuddles. Nothing inappropriate about these cuddles. Just, his hands, it's all totally normal. And he's just like a beaming dad, obviously, really loves his kids, totally normal and happy and everything like that, right? So they go to some into Miami, playing St. Louis and Fort Lauderdale. Okay, great. Totally fine.
Seems okay, fine.
Not in any way controversial. If anything, he just seems like a really, considering who he is, how rich he is, how famous he is, he seems like just a regular London lad. Sort of an old school sort of English lad.
So what's the issue?
Well, the issue was cringeworthy, totally inappropriate. Say,
What? Totally inappropriate?
Yeah.
Cringeworthy? Who's saying that?
well,
Bunch of lefties?
yes, and women whose dads didn't hug them enough, I think, is the answer. There are lots of people, of course, who are on the side of it, who are like, yeah, no, that's adorable, that's lovely. And I just wanted to become one of those people on that side, right? One user wrote, Beckham needs to realise his daughter is growing fast. He cannot hug her the same way he did when she was 5. Cringeworthy pictures. She looks about 18, totally inappropriate. Well, even if she was 18, right? Even if she was 18, that's not an inappropriate picture. What's wrong with that?
No, that's still...
It's
This is odd. I mean, the first thing that happens when I get home is the kids come up and give me a hug.
yes.
It's just normal. In fact, when I leave for work in the morning as well, they're getting changed for school, and they come down and they both give me a hug, and then I go out the door and I go off. It's just normal. It's just what you do.
But I think their issue is that David Beckham is just so public about it, right? It's one of those things where, and I'm guessing, I don't know anything about these users who are saying this, I'm guessing their dads didn't give them as many hugs as they would have liked.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's
So definitely women making these comments, bit resentful that this young lady is getting the best start in life, and both of her parents are apparently very affectionate with all of their kids, and it's like, no, that's normal and wholesome. And I mean, I don't.
Yeah, for people who aren't left wingers, but maybe if you're left winger, you've got daddy issues, and
quite possibly, and
yes.
Exactly. And then it would go almost like being creepy for hugging his daughter, and it's like, okay,
Jordana Shell thing.
yeah, exactly. Like, again, people who obviously didn't get hugged by their own dads. But I mean, okay, it's one thing being the embarrassing dad, right? Because there is an argument on that side. Okay, she's 12, she's nearly 13, she's becoming a young woman. He's being an embarrassing dad by just, showing a lot of love to her in public. I can understand from the 12-year-old girl's perspective, she might be like, Dad, come on, all my friends are watching or something. But I mean, she didn't seem to be.
No,
in the picture.
I wasn't getting that read from it.
No, I wasn't at all. But okay, I can totally understand it. But creepy. Oh right, okay. So now we're gonna add a sexualized dimension to this, because that's what that means, right?
Do they have to destroy everything?
Exactly. totally open. He's just happy, giving one of his pride and joy a big hug. There's nothing creepy about that. There's no undertones to this.
Yeah.
This is all completely above board and totally normal and totally wholesome. And I just find it really insufferable that people were calling.
They are spiteful mutants, aren't they? They're just.
Oh, I just want to make, I'm not going to say it, but I just want to put it in the back of your mind that maybe your dad's a predator. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just putting it in the back of your mind. And it's like, no, that's totally inappropriate. It's totally wrong. There's no reason to think it. And by God, David Beckham, do not make this segment age poorly. All right. I don't want it a year's time or something for this to come out. You better make sure this ages well, David. Right. The thing is, I'm sure it will. I don't get any of that vibe from him at all.
I mean, it's not like he works for the BBC or something.
Well, exactly. Yeah. He's not BBC presenter. And there was loads of these going around. So it's this particular one, The Secret Life of Mum, this blog, right? So they're talking about how people are reacting to it and stuff like that. And what I found really interesting, I mean, like I said, there are loads of pictures of him giving hugs. It's totally normal. But read more at the bottom. How a parent's affection shapes their child's happiness for life. Oh, yeah, okay, well, let's have a look. So they're like, warmth and affection expressed by parents provides lifelong positive outcomes for the kids. Oh, so it's not creepy. He's not being weird. He's actually giving her the best start in life by being affectionate to her.
Well, it looks like they wrote an article based on data, but when it came to their visceral reaction, it was...
Yes.
We have a problem.
Exactly. They do say, in particular, a mother's affection, but obviously affection from both parents. Researchers at Duke University followed nearly 500 babies from birth until age 30. They tested the theory that the quality of their interactions with their mother or primary caregiver would impact their health and happiness as adults. And the results, drum roll, contain your surprise, the babies who got lots of affection did best in life.
Yeah.
They had significantly lower levels of emotional distress. The most notably impacted their levels of anxiety. The more childhood affection they received, the less likely they were to have high levels of anxiety as adults. So they grew up to be well adjusted.
Ed Dutton did an interesting video on this lately. He was talking about how in universities, if a group sets up that is non-left aligned,
yes,
you get all the lefties, normally women, but not exclusively, but normally women, saying this makes them feel unsafe that a conservative speaker has come to the campus or something like that. That makes them feel unsafe. And he was breaking down why is it that they feel unsafe. And I can't remember the full argument, but it was something along the lines of because they were treated badly in childhood and because they could never understand how to win parental approval because it was so all over the place. Like behaviours could sometimes be punished or rewarded, or they never got this balanced level of this sort of safety. Whereas if you have a well-adjusted child with well-adjusted parents, they know what the baseline is, so that when they go out into the world, it takes genuine danger to trigger, okay, this is off the baseline. But if you've got a kid who just doesn't have a baseline because they never developed one, basically everything makes them afraid, and that's why they're saying, okay, this makes me feel unsafe because a conservative speaker has come to my university campus or something.
I don't know what this means. I mean, assuming they're making that argument in good faith, which is unlikely.
Yeah, well, they think they do anyway.
Yeah, assuming they're making in good faith. One thing that has become profoundly apparent to me is it's simply regularity that children most need, I think. So this is the point of structure, order, and consistency. So they know where they stand. That's just the whole mission of the parent, is to make sure your child has a stable life, that they understand that tomorrow will be predictably like today, which was predictably like yesterday.
Well, that's why for a young child the word no is so important, because if they learn the rules of the house, that means that from quite a young age they can have the run of the house.
Yeah.
Because the parent knows that they know what no means, they know what the boundaries are, and then you're quite happy to let them run around.
Yeah.
But if they don't understand no, and they're constantly going for things that they shouldn't be going for, getting into dangerous situations, they have to be either monitored or basically shut in one room or something like that. So no is really valuable for a young child.
No, 100%. But again, according to just the literature listed in this, high affection shown to children by their parents causes higher self-esteem, improved academic performance, better parent-child communication, fewer psychological behavioural problems, and they go on to point out the importance of hugs Hugging and physical displays of affection are incredibly important for the healthy development of a child, especially for babies. In fact, hugging makes your child smarter. A study done on babies in an orphanage found that just 20 minutes of hugging a day improved their performance on brain development tests. Also, of course, it helps you bond with your child and improves their physical and mental well-being because it releases oxytocin, which is an important hormone for these things. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I'm going to take their word for it. But the point being, the people who are like, well, I mean, David Beckham giving her hugs is creepy. It's like, no, it's totally wholesome. It's 100% good for her. And this is why she looks happy and totally at ease with her dad giving her just a wholesome...
And that whole thing about her being too old, well, that's only 2 years older than my eldest daughter. Yeah. I've no intention of stopping hugging my daughter when she's 18 or 26 or 30 or 40. I mean, it's just
no reason you should either. It's this sort of demented way of making men seem creepy or predatory. Even when honestly, I'm a pretty good judge of body language. Beckham is just being a normal dad in this. You can just tell by his facial expression. This is totally normal. He's doing the right thing and he knows it.
I mean, a couple of times I've picked up on some long leftist screed on Twitter, and I've started reading through it, and I've just replied, "Daddy issues."
Yeah.
And the reaction of the person who I said that to is enough to convince me that I was bang on the money.
So you do have daddy issues, then. Right? Okay. Anyway, so not a lot else to say about this, and this wasn't like a world-breaking segment or anything, but it just really bothered me because
you're right to raise it. It's because these people, they just have to corrupt everything.
That's right. It's about corruption.
Yes.
That's exactly right. Because this is a very wholesome relationship they've obviously got. And they're trying to insert intentionality into it. Like you say, it's corrupting it. And it's obviously not appropriate. It's obviously not there.
Well, that's the thing. When you first showed the story, it was like, okay, where are we going with this?
Well, exactly.
Because it wouldn't have occurred to me. But to them, they see it from the outset because they're spiteful mutants.
It's hard to disagree.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're up to, you can follow Dan's series, Brokenomics. This time he's talking about the Witten. He's got lots of guests, definitely worth checking out. And if you want to see all the other stuff we're putting out, you can follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.